If you are an honorably discharged wartime veteran from the United States military, but you didn't stay in the service long enough to get a military retirement, and you don't qualify for VA disability benefits, but you still need financial support, are there any programs available that can help give you that support that you need? Depending on your circumstances, you may qualify for a third option. This is the VA pension program. It is different than a military retirement. It is also different than VA disability benefits. So in today's video, we're going to talk about who qualifies, what amount of payment you can get, and then also some of the considerations that you should keep in mind when you're thinking about this program. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm the part-time economist, and in today's video, we're talking about the Veterans Affairs Veterans Pension Program. So as I said in the intro, this is different than a military retirement. It is different than VA benefits. So the key thing here is to know if you qualify. So we're going to start off the video talking about qualifications, then we'll talk money, then we'll talk general things to keep in mind. So number one thing, as with everything related to the government, sometimes determining whether or not you qualify can be complicated. I'm going to put a general flow chart on the screen so that you can have an idea of whether or not you qualify. Keep in mind, I'm not a lawyer, anything like that. I'm just trying to give you a general idea. If you've got specific questions, contact your VSO, any veteran organizations, they'll be happy to help you with this. So, big picture requirements here. These are the non-negotiables. You have got to, number one, have a discharge that is not dishonorable. So, literally anything else is cool. So you've got honorable, obviously you're good. You've got general, you're good. You've got anything other than dishonorable, again, you check that box, move on to the next step. Number two, you have to have qualifying service, at least 1 day of wartime service. Now, this does not mean that you had to be in a combat zone. You didn't have to get hazardous duty pay, imminent danger pay, nothing like that. This just means you had to serve during a wartime period. And we'll go more into what that means in a couple minutes here. Also, you've got to have net worth requirements. So the general guideline here is about $155,000. So if you're close to that, again, keep watching the video because we'll go through the specifics. If you're a multimillionaire, again, just respecting your time here, but more than likely you're not going to qualify for this program. So let's talk about the specifics. The dishonorable discharge, that's pretty self-explanatory. The qualifying service can be a little bit confusing. So there's 3 different time periods or ways that you can qualify for this. Now, keep in mind, you've only got to meet one of those many requirements. So, number one, you started on active duty before September 8th of 1980 and you served at least 90 days on active duty with at least 1 day during wartime. Option number 2. So, option 1, that applies to everyone. Option 2 is for the enlisted personnel out there. If you started on active duty as an enlisted person after September 7th, 1980 and served at least 24 months or the full period that you were called to active duty service for. Again, with one of those days being wartime. And then number 3 is for our officer friends out there. You were an officer and you started on active duty after October 16th, 1981, and you hadn't previously served on active duty for at least 24 months. So those are kind of the time periods that you have to serve. But even within those time periods, the VA has another layer that within that time period, at least 1 day has to be wartime service. What counts as wartime service? Well, they have a handy chart that can help us out there. So the Mexican border period from May 9th of 1916 to April 5th of 1917, if you were in Mexico, on the border, or in the adjacent waters, World War I, World War II, Korean conflict, those all count. Vietnam is a little bit tricky because it depends whether you were in country or out of country. If you were in the Republic of Vietnam itself, your wartime service is any time between November 1st of 1955 to May 7th of 1975 if you were in the Vietnam era, but you were not in the Republic of Vietnam itself, right? So you served during that time period, just not in Vietnam. Your qualifying service is August 5th, 1964 to May 7th of 1975. For those of us that are Gulf War era veterans, it's super simple. From August 2nd, 1990, basically to the present, because they have not put a cutoff date on there. So if you were obviously Gulf War, Inherent Resolve, Enduring Freedom, any of those, they're all going to count. Okay, so now that we've got all of that covered, we've got our honorable discharge. We're below $155,000. We have that active duty service with at least one wartime day. We've also got to meet an additional qualification, and we can meet that in one of four ways. So this is why I love this program, because it's very flexible. If you are over 65 years old, you can qualify. You could be 0% or not even have a disability rating, so no disabilities. If you're over 65, you can qualify. If you have a permanent and total disability rating, even if you're 25, even if you're 95, as long as you have that P&T, you can qualify. If you are a patient in a nursing home getting long-term care because of a disability, right? So even if that's a 10% disability, if it is a disability and you're in long-term care in a nursing home, you can qualify, right? Even if you're not over 65, even if you're not permanent and total. Lastly, if you're getting Social Security, disability insurance, Social Security, or SSI, that's your supplemental security income. If you're getting those, again, you can qualify. So let's move on to the trickiest part, which is the income. So the way that the VA looks at this, you've got to have a net worth below about $155,000. So that is going to be your assets minus your liabilities plus your income. Okay, I'm not an accountant. What does all of that mean? Your assets are basically the fair market value of all your personal property, right? So your investments, your furniture, your boats, right? Those things are all going to count towards that limit. However, they will not count your personal vehicle. They will not count your household appliances like your washer, your dryer, your refrigerator. Also, they will not count your home against you. So if you own a $200,000 home, don't think that you can't participate, because that does not count. However, if you own a $200,000 rental that you're a landlord for, that's a different story, because then it becomes an investment. Also, keep in mind, if you have debts, right, things that are detracting from your net worth, those are going to be important as well. They are going to add in your income. So if you have $80,000 net worth, you make $5,000, they're going to add those together to determine your net worth. So I'm just trying to give you the basics here. It can get complicated. They have a look back period where if you sold something below market value, that can count against you, right? There's a lot of details. I would recommend, if you're actually going to file for this, to talk to a VSO, right? A veterans service organization that can help you out, just really give you a one-on-one for your specific situation. The big picture takeaway here, $155,000. If you're close to that, it's something worth pursuing. If you're way out of the ballpark, you know who you are. So that is the income requirements. Now let's talk about what can you get? What is the financial benefit to you as a qualifying veteran? So if we hadn't already made things complex enough, the way that the VA determines this is through something known as your maximum annual pension rate. And this is basically the maximum pension that you can get. So you're probably thinking, okay, cool. What is my maximum rate? Well, the answer is it depends. It depends on what benefits you qualify for. It depends on whether you have dependents or not. So let's just go with a simple example so you can see how it works. Suppose that I am a single veteran. I don't qualify for household aid or attendance, anything like that, right? My maximum benefit is going to be $16,551. Again, these are January 2024 rates. If they change the rates, those are going to change all the time, but the general idea should remain pretty much the same. What the VA does is they're going to make up the difference between that maximum pension rate and my countable income. Again, what is countable income? This is essentially how much I'm making, right? So Social Security, investments, retirement benefits. Also, if you have a dependent that is earning a lot of money, that is going to count as well. So keep that in mind. What they're going to do is they're going to make up the difference. So let's suppose that my maximum pension rate, again, is that $16,551. Let's suppose, to make the math easy, that my countable income, we'll call it $10,000. So I'm going to get $16,551 minus $10,000. I'm going to get $6,551. So keep all of that in mind. Basically, what they're doing is they're making up the difference between what you earn and that maximum pension rate. So let's suppose you are a veteran that has a financial need. You meet all of the eligibility requirements. How are you going to actually apply for this? Now, the form itself is titled 21 Papa-527 Echo Zulu. You don't need to remember that, because you can also apply online. You can submit the form in person, you can mail in the form, or you can work with a qualified representative. This is where your local VSO comes into play. This is a veterans organization that helps veterans get the benefits they need, fill out all of the paperwork. If you just go to your search engine and type the name of your city and then VSO, Veterans Assistance, or something like that, it's going to pull them up. They will help you out with all of these things, because it can be really hard to file this on yourself, and I wouldn't recommend doing it by yourself. So that is the form. Those are some of the avenues of support available to help you with the form. Now, this is my small suggestion. You don't have to take it, but there is an additional form known as an intent to file that I would recommend you consider. What this is not the actual application itself. This is basically putting it on the record, so to speak, with the VA that you think you qualify, you are going to pursue this benefit. It doesn't get you in the program, but it's basically giving the VA a notice. The reason that I would suggest you looking into this intent to file form is because that basically is a timestamp. Let's suppose it takes you 3 months to get all your documentation and prove these financial statements for the VA. When the VA goes to approve you, they're going to look back to that intent to file. So what that can do is they can sometimes give you that backwards payment, right? So those 3 months that you were getting your documents, going all these places you needed to do, if you don't do that intent to file, you're going to start getting your benefits whenever your application gets approved. If you do the intent to file, that can basically be extra time that you're going to get compensated for. I mean, obviously, if you earned it, right? So why not take advantage of the systems the VA has to make sure that you get compensated for the full amount of your time? So again, that's just a general overview here. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a VSO. I'm not a lawyer, anything like that. I'm just a veteran. I like helping other veterans. I heard about this program and I thought, this is new to me. Maybe there's other veterans out there that don't know about it. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. I will try to answer. There's a lot of other great veterans that know a whole lot more than me. So if you put it there and I can't give you an answer, maybe someone else will stop by and help you out. So as always, I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you found something useful, and I'll see you next time.